Hello and welcome to PreMarket Traders Podcast, Talk with Traders. In this episode, Thor and I get into several topics revolving around money and trading, how your personal relationship with money can support or end up hurting the way you manage your trading capital. Also, we will discuss certain situations you want to avoid trading from and how you can improve them to have a better trading outcome. Let's get started with episode number 4, a healthy relationship with money. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of PreMarket Traders Podcast with Thor and myself. Thor, how you doing, my friend? Hope you are well.
Man, I'm doing amazing. Dealing with the cold and flu season, apparently. I know you
Yes.
and your family's been dealing with it. My daughter's sick today, but always got to make time every week to get our podcast on and talk a little trading for our friends and BBT family and stuff. So, but yeah, going good. Been a great week. Lots of volatility in the market this week. So some really fun plays,
Yeah,
living the life.
I agree that this week, it's funny, we're recording a day later than our normal schedule because I was feeling so crappy yesterday. But our goal, guys, this year for our podcast, right? We have goals too in our podcast, is to get 52 episodes in. So that's no weeks off for the start here. And I think we can do it. So here's episode number 4, guys. We're going to be getting into, talking about money and how money affects you in trading, your trading style, your trading decision, the fear, the greed, running and trading as a business, and the money part aspect of it. And there's so much that we can touch on. I don't think we'd be able to cover everything in just one episode because there's
No
just so
way.
many topics. Me and Thor were, before getting on, we're kind of going over our notes, and we're like, I don't think we get all of this in 30, 45 minutes. So we'll do the best we
Yeah.
can and just go through it. Guys, before we get started, I want to remind you, though, about we do have a new email address set up for our podcast show, and that is podcast@bearboottraders.com. So you can reach us there if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, if you're listening on Spotify, or I think, funny, I asked Ryan, our IT guy, how many places do we post? And guys, we post everywhere. It's like a list of 10 different platforms. Some of them are very popular, some of them I've never heard of. So whatever you're listening to, we are there. So
Yeah.
definitely find us there. We're listed as PreMarket Traders, Talk with Traders. So you can reach us with any questions, comments, suggestions. We would love to hear from you. The podcast at bearboottraders.com. And if you're on YouTube, you can leave comments there. It'll be impossible for me and Thor to check all these different podcasts. So the
Exactly.
podcast email address is the best way to reach us. We both get a copy and we'll get back to you. So reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. All right, so let's dive in, man. Let's dive in right into
Let's do it.
how money affects trading, right? Such a
Mm.
big part of trading. And I always say that it starts at the personal level first, right? When you start trading, you don't realize how disciplined you have to be in so many areas of your personal life. We talked about this in the last episode number 3. But money is a big chunk of that, right? Having your
Yeah, huge.
finances in check, in order. So I know that this is something you have to get in place before you jump into trading, or at least it's going to help the journey quite a bit.
Well, I mean, man, you were kind of the model for that, right? Because we talked about that the other day, and you talked about how you kind of saw, you knew the winds were shifting with your employer. You kind of had a little heads up, so you
Yeah,
decide, and
yeah,
it's almost the ideal scenario, right? Which is basically, you're unwinding your other career, so you're not putting all your effort there. You know what I mean? But you got time, so let's try and work on putting something to good there. So I think you of almost any of the stories I know really did that right, where you said, "Hey, I have so much time to go here. I know I'm going to be doing here. My personal finances are in the
yeah,
right spot." And I think that's where a lot of people really go wrong. They don't get into trading till they need to make money, right? So
yes,
and that would be like expecting to get paid a doctor before you go to medical school. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It's
yeah,
like it's just not that, there's no book. Unfortunately, there's just no one singular item you're going to be able to pick up that's just going to turn the market into an ATM for you. I mean, that's some people claim such a thing. We don't. For a reason, because that didn't happen for us. And if it didn't happen for us, I'm not going to say it's going to happen for you.
yeah,
The
yeah.
market was no ATM for me when I started. That's for darn sure.
No,
So,
absolutely
but
not.
having your personal finances in order, and understanding that you're starting a business, this is going to be your new small business someday. You will most likely, at some point, S corp, or do something like that in order to handle the revenue streams that you've got associated with your trading and your various other things and assets. So, I mean, this is the beginning as you're getting in as a trading business, and there is no time like the very, very beginning to focus on
Agreed.
that. So many people focus on how to learn the software, right? And if anything, that maybe is the last thing you need to be worried about as far as putting your business plan together for becoming a trader.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And like you said, and the reason I got so prepared was because it was scary to think about that. Hey, come this date, I'm not going to have an income. And trading
Mm,
was not a thought in my mind at that time. That came a little bit later. But you have your kids, you have your wife, you have to support, put food on the table. You think about, hey,
facts.
this day there's not going to be an income, and I got to find a job. It's scary. So you get put a lot of things in place. But if you start from a point where your personal finances are in order, and not just getting rid of debt and being financially stable, is also having a good budgeting system that you're disciplined.
Mm,
Because again, discipline is such a big key, and you're going to hear that through a lot of our episodes here. A lot of it comes back down to discipline. There was one post I put on Twitter, and guys, you can follow us on Twitter as well. I'll put the links here on the bottom of this. Is Thor Young? You are at Thor.
at Thor
Um,
Young,
at Thor Young
just me.
also. It's just you. So at Thor Young, and then I'm at Carlos M BBT. So you can follow us there on Twitter. And I put a post up, and one of the comments was, it's funny how we can be so disciplined and follow our rules on a 9 to 5, but when it comes to trading, we can follow these few simple rules. It's so hard to do,
Mm.
right? So it's kind of,
Accountability,
yeah,
maybe.
it's kind of that discipline and perspective of things, right? And so going back to my point here, if you don't have that discipline in check as far as your finances, budgeting, trading can become difficult, because if you think of trading, it's
Mm.
like a business, and you're the guy that does the budgeting, you're the guy that does the operational finances, you're the guy that does everything for this
Yeah,
business.
you're the CPA.
You're
You're,
the CPA, you're the CEO, you're CFO, you're all the C's in this business.
yeah,
So if you don't have good practice of doing this in your personal life, then you're going to struggle with this here. And it's not because you're not a good person or a disciplined person. It's just that those things need to be in check. And that can actually, this is actually one of those things you can transfer over into trading, being a
yeah.
good discipline, as far as your finances.
Well, sometimes, and I think you talked about like we're so disciplined in the 9 to 5. Why not in this? And I think it's that lack of immediate accountability. You know what I mean? If you don't
Hmm.
show up for your 9 to 5 on time at 9 to 5, you only do that one or two times before your shift manager is like,
Hey, yeah,
hey, Carlos, we gotta have a little talk right now, buddy. So it's 9 to 5, not 9:15 to 5. And if you can't get yourself in
yes,
here at 9 o'clock,
yes,
there's someone out there
that
that
will.
wants to be here at 9 o'clock, and they will be. You know what I mean? And you're gonna be finding some other place to show up at 9:15 every day, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that immediate response, has most people in line. But that is the hard part. Maybe if not one of the hardest parts of becoming a day trader is the fact that you now are all the C's. You're the
yeah,
manager, you're the
yeah.
CEO, the CFO, the COO. You're the technology manager. You're the financial manager. You're a risk manager. You're a trader. You now just took every hat and decided to put it on at the same time, and it's not surprising that can fall. And then you throw things like PDT on top of it. Where you have a
Hmm.
hard limit, and if you drop
Yeah,
below that hard limit, you no longer can generate income without refunding. That's a lot
yeah.
to deal with,
It,
and,
it
and that's
sure
a lot
is.
of accountability. It can be a really sketchy situation.
Yeah, it sure is. And again, if you put all those things together, we focus so much on the strategy, the trading aspect of the business, and the sitting in front of the charts. I think a lot of us, I did when I first started. I didn't think about
Mm,
any of this other thing as far as a detailed business and how this would be almost exactly how a business will run. That was not something that went through my mind. Now in our courses at BBT, we do have those courses where we talk about setting up, your trading as a business, as far as running it, having a trading plan in place, thing to look out for. So definitely check out bearbootraders.com. It's a lot going on there to get you set up properly. Um, but at,
100%.
but at first, many traders don't think of it that way. And if you think of money's such a big chunk of this trading career, because at the end of the day, the reason we decide to start trading is to make an income out of this, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing on our mind is, okay, how can I make money out of this? How can I withdraw money from the market? And this becomes a area of a big spotlight for us. But if you don't have your money, if you don't have a healthy relationship with money, you can really get into some trouble here, because you're the manager of the dollars in your trading,
Yeah.
in your overall
Yeah.
business, right? So I think having that healthy personal relationship with your accounts as well, aside from trading, if you have a healthy relationship with money based on your background, based on, for your upbringing from your family, it has a lot to do with it. Because
Sure.
I tell you this much, for me personally, we didn't come from a wealthy family at all, and actually, I didn't realize my family, and again, we're getting a bit personal here, but this is what this podcast is
That's what we
for.
do.
Um, I didn't realize my parents were poor until I got into about junior high school.
Mm.
That's when I
Isn't that
realized that,
interesting?
wait a minute, we are not
You're like,
like the
what?
neighbors across the street. Something's different here.
Like I thought we were the Joneses. Apparently
No,
they're the Joneses.
no, it was a very quick reality. Like, okay, we are at the bottom level here. My parents did a great job to get us to where they got us to, but man, it was some rough years. So
Sure.
that relationship of not having money accessible like that is something I had to break out of, because when you start working, you realize, okay, there's some money coming in now. I've been working here for 12 years. I have something to work with. And I got to learn how to manage money, how to manage a 401k. How to manage all these things, retirement plans. I didn't learn this from my dad or my mom, and not because they were not great, just because that's not the background I was raised in. That's not the
Yeah, and
background
that
they were
wasn't their
raised in.
area of focus at the time.
Right, right.
You know
So
what I mean? They weren't worried about those things. They were just worried about, man, these kids need
putting food on the
food.
table. That's it.
you know?
So
You know?
I got started late in that process, and now it took me a while to kind of say, okay, this is the right way to do things on my personal life. I started very late, getting into credit card debt and all this other stuff, how money actually works. I had to fix that there in my personal life first, and then now in trading, I can see how, okay, having that in check is helping this. You know, so if you're in a
Yeah.
situation where your personal finances are not well right now, you want to make sure that's getting handled before you start trading, right? Very, very
hmm
important.
Well, especially because remember your trading account, right, is going to be basically like your business's fund of resource, but cash is a position in trading. And in
Yes.
order to take advantage of margin, in order to take advantage of PDT, you have to have cash. So what you can't do is fund your account and then bleed your account, right? Because what a lot of new traders end up actually doing is they don't actually bleed out their account through their trading. They bleed it out by taking money out of it. They put enough money in it to fund it, and they say, I'm going to pay myself out of this account, and then I need to be replenishing the amount within so many months. Well, what happens is as you dilute the account, your margin reduces, your
Right.
buying
Right.
power reduces, so your availability of stocks and that you can trade or trade well with the position you need begins to dwindle. The closer you get to PDC, the harder the trading becomes, right? Because of this, and then innately it just kind of snowballs. All of a sudden you're close to PDT. Now you've got the pressure of saying, man, if I make one or two mistakes, I literally can't make money anymore, right?
Right.
Until I
Right.
go find more money to fund this account. So you need to be very, very aware of that reality that as you're starting this business, you're going to have to fund this business like any other business, right?
Yes.
If you
Yes.
were going to start a curbing business, right, or become a welder, right, you're going to need equipment, right? Or a plumber, you're going to need a truck, right? But
Yep. Yep.
you're not going to buy the truck and then sell the truck to get money from the truck. No, you're going to buy the truck, and this truck is going to become a utility you're going to be using. That money that's going to be going into your account will in fact just become that, or it should be a utility to be built upon, not something to be withdrawn upon. So if you're not in that financial position, be very, very careful. Because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
last thing you want to do is put your effort into the market just to lose $5,000 or $6,000,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
it
you know what I
hurts.
mean. There's
Yeah.
nothing more
Yeah.
frustrating than to do that, give up, and then go do something out and have a bad experience in the market. Most people that have a bad experience in the market, it's because they came in ill prepared or with the wrong expectations like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree 100%. And, the expectations is everything coming into this business. And I think, and I say this because myself included. I mean, just the way I started, you guys know the story. Came in and no background, no education, and just said, hey, let's open an account at $40,000 at that time with Thinkorswim, and no business being in the markets with zero experience trading, right? So how many people start like that, right? And end up,
Many.
taking a big hit and realizing either blowing up and never coming back, or hopefully stopping and realizing, well, I need to learn something before I continue here, right? And my mentality then, as you guys know, was let's make money, right? Let's make money, let's make money. And that's just not the way it works. Money's such a big part of this business, but it's got to be done responsibly. You got to really focus on other things outside of the money part of it. But
Well, I
you
mean
brought up,
that's
yeah,
that big difference, brother, between that gambling mentality and
yeah,
the business mentality, right? And the two
yeah.
are so close to each other.
Oh, very.
It's crazy. But the reality is it is that you have to go into it with that correct mentality of saying, I'm funding this with 40 grand, right? This is how much money I'm hoping to make over the next year. These are my goals. These are my projections. If I'm going to withdraw, this is how much I can withdraw. All of that stuff should be put in. But what do many do? They say, "Hey, I just got laid off from my job. I got a $40,000 pension. I'm going to
Hmm, hmm.
throw that into an account right now. I'm going to get out there and start hitting that." And then this, we kind of call this little Dunning-Kruger effect. When we talk psych in the market, this Dunning-Kruger effect comes in, which is basically like when you start, you're so dumb you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
come
yeah,
in there and you just kind of chase stuff around, and amazingly so, it works out all the time. And you just do really, really well, and you're making money, and that lasts for a day, a week, a little bit longer, and then all of a sudden you hit that one big critical loss, and
yeah,
and it
yeah,
puts the fear of God in you in the trading world a little bit, and it humbles you and it brings you back to level, and you never recover from that point ever again. Like once you've lost that mojo, now
yeah,
you're like, well, what do I do if I lose money again? Right. And now you realize you're trading, but you don't have a system. You don't have your business defined. You're just trading sheerly seat of your pants. And now,
yeah.
and then that's when most people burn out and fail. Where what we try and do is we try and remind everybody, hey, let's go ahead and get all that in place first, then fund your account,
Right,
right?
right.
Once you know you've got a system that's working and you're prepared to handle what's going to happen, which is really nice. I wish we had a BBT. You and I started around the same time.
Yeah.
BBT was fledgling then. It was really just getting going. The material hadn't been built out nearly as much. But a lot of the rooms when you and I started were the exact opposite. They were like a lot of
Or
pump and dump rooms out there
oh yeah, or
that
even
were
worse,
really
man.
taking
They were,
advantage of people.
yeah, yeah. It was really, and again, there's some good rooms out there, but there was some other rooms that because I went to other communities before BBT, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is not where I want to be. So do your homework, guys. And we're obviously biased because we're both from Bearable Traders, but do your homework on what community to join. We know for a fact that you got to be part of a community. I always say that, doesn't have to be ours, but you have to join a community. You
Yeah.
can go at this alone. It's just not going to work. It's
Yeah,
going to
don't
be
trade alone.
very
It's a
difficult.
stressful gig. At least have,
Yeah,
not for
yeah,
mention, have a trading buddy or something too, because you said at the beginning, that failure point, and we were saying the lack of accountability. Having a trading community, having a trading buddy, or something like that can provide you with an opportunity for accountability. You can say, hey, at the end of the day, you mind if I shoot you a text message and tell you where I ended at the end of the day? That way,
yeah,
I've
yeah,
got to tell somebody.
yeah,
That way I can at least give the report, if you will, and then that helps a lot, like especially with a lot of people I mentor and work with. It helps them almost just to have me there in a way, just for they say, hey, I'm doing this, and I'm like, I look through their data and I'm like, you're right, everything you're saying is correct about what you're saying, so just do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And they just need that push, so
They,
don't
they,
don't
they need
don't
that
don't trade
accountability.
alone.
Yeah, don't trade alone. And also it goes back also to our, having that healthy relationship with money. Guys, if you're running a
Mm-hmm.
business, you need mentors. You need people that can put you in check, not just tell you what you want to hear, but put you in check, say, hey, listen, maybe you shouldn't buy that extra inventory because you're not selling this here. And hey, I know you like this item here, the SKU number, but this is not selling. Stop buying this, buy this. You need that hard talk with someone when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
business. You got to do the same in trading. Find someone you have confidence in, not confidence, that you can entrust a lot in. For
Yeah.
example, send them your statement. Find someone that you can trust enough to send their statement. Someone, it could be someone within your family or whatever, and say, hey, here's what's actually happening. Have them give you feedback. Get a mentor that you can trust 100%, and get that information, checked out. It's going to help you because sometimes we're blinded and we're biased to our own personal
For
things
sure.
on what we want to do, what we want to accomplish in trading. And someone might look at our statement and say, hey, listen, you keep taking this trade in the pre-market at 8:15, and every time you trade in the pre-market at 15, 75% of the time you're losing money. Yeah, you had one big trade 1 year ago, then maybe you're holding on to that emotion of how big
That
that
one
was.
that one good moment in
and
time.
I'm talking these because this is me right here. You're holding on to that one big
Oh,
trade you had, but every time you do this, you have lost, and now you lost more than that one big trader gave you a year ago. So,
For the record,
you
we
know,
all got to say this. I'm a horrible pre-market trader. I'm really
me
strong
too.
with reading order book and time and sales, and in the
Hmm.
pre-market, I just don't have enough of that. But we literally used to laugh, right? Because
Yeah.
I was trying to stop trading the pre-market, and I started like Pre-Market Traders Anonymous basically because I was having so much trouble not trading the pre-market, and it really was because of that. I'd only had really a handful of remarkable trades that had
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
so excited about it, and I just couldn't shake that, even though all my stats were saying, "Hey, you make all your money 15 minutes in."
Yeah.
You're even when you do make money in the pre-market, it's not enough money to
Yeah. Yeah.
justify taking the risk. Just wait. So what I would do is I'd start off every day for a couple of weeks, and I would hold up my little coin here. And if you're on YouTube, you can see my little
Yeah.
BBT coin,
Yeah.
and I'd hold up and I'd say, "Hi, my name is Thor Young," and
Yeah.
everyone would say,
Yeah.
"Hi,
Go through your
Thor," and I would be,
affirmations. Yeah.
and I'd do my
Absolutely, man.
affirmations, and I am not going to trade the pre-market today. I mean, it was
It,
that bad. It was that
it
bad.
was a big issue for me, man, because the big wins that I had in pre-market, at the market open, they just ran in my direction even more aggressive. And I was already had a great entry. So the emotion that you get from these wins are insane. But over
Yeah.
time, that's not a strategy. You're not making money here. So,
The
uh,
other issue I have with those too is in pre-market you don't have stops.
yeah,
So it's really hard for me to interact with the community, look at other charts and explore other charts and plan my day for those other trades and get
yeah,
prepped when I have a position going, cuz basically I'm just like locked in all
yeah,
day to
yeah,
that, while that position's there, because I'm just, especially on, if you're trading an ETF or something like that, those things can shake out really heavy if the spread gets wide in pre-market. So you're just sitting there staring at it, and you're just like, if this thing makes the wrong low move, I'm out of this thing.
yeah,
But
yeah,
you can't even like gaze at your P&L while you're doing other stuff, because 1 minute it'll be up a couple $100, next minute you look back, it's down a couple $100. You're like, how'd that happen?
yeah,
Just
yeah,
crazy in pre-markets because the ladder runs are so fast. So yeah,
yeah,
for me,
yeah,
it's, it just became unworth it. Not only did my trades not make enough money when they did, right, but it just was so distracting. It inevitably would actually derail part of my rest of my day. I wouldn't be as prepared
yeah,
for the
yeah.
rest of the day when
Sets
the
the
real
tone.
opportunities
Hmm.
were coming.
Yeah, it does set the tone. I hope you're finding this conversation helpful and that you are able to take some key things here to apply to your trading career. We are more than halfway through this episode, and I want to remind you to subscribe to this podcast in whichever platform you are listening in. This way, you do not miss the future episodes that we release weekly. I also want to take the opportunity to let you know about tradingterminal.com. It is a completely free tool created by traders for traders. You will have access to scanners that we use daily to find stocks in play, stock news, information, plus a replay simulator to practice your trading on. All available at tradingterminal.com, completely free. Let's get back to our conversation. Going back to our conversation about money, guys, and having a healthy relationship is it goes both ways. Whether you have whether you're scared to lose money or whether you have plenty of money, you got to have a healthy relationship either way. Because what happens is you can't come into trading with money that you're not willing to risk, right? And
Mm.
not saying you got to risk your entire balance, but every trade cannot be so important that, oh, this has to be a winner. I can't lose money. I got to make money.
No, quite the
Um,
opposite.
because then you're going to build some really bad habits, and that's not going to work. And then you can't come also in with so much money that you don't care about the trades, and now you're just winging it, right? So
Right,
that's
right.
also not healthy. You got to have a real healthy relationship with money. You got to be disciplined with it. And part of that too is like a business. Is you mentioned about withdrawing money from the market. That's important too, because I think that sometimes we forget as we're trading that these little dollar numbers are moving here back and forth, red and green. That's cash. That's actual money
Mm-hmm.
in there, right? So I think I always tell traders that when I was mentoring them, after you have a good month, take half of the money out. I know you're trying to grow your account. Just take half of the money out so you can remind yourself when that thing hits your account, it feels good. One, it feels good. And it tells you, hey, what I've been doing this month is working. And when you see that
Absolutely.
hit, whether it's, $500, $200, sure, it could be $100. That's money that you realize, okay, this actual money. I can go to the store and buy something with this, right? Build that healthy relationship that you are not disconnected from the dollar symbols, numbers you're seeing here flickering back and forth. That's
100%.
actual money. You mentioned it's similar to gambling, and I think trading is the same thing. If we were trading in a live room, in the market was a live room, and you were carrying a bag of money, all over the place,
Yeah,
you
that would
wouldn't
change
risk
things.
I don't think, I think the market wouldn't move. Simple as that, because people are not going to
Well,
want
yeah,
to
if you
see
had
their
to grab a
dollars
$100 bill every time you went to
every
take a
time. To
trade
get,
and put it on the table and say,
yeah,
that's actually a good visual idea. I may actually do that. I may
the
actually
market
get a
wouldn't
hundred
move.
dollar bill. I might
Yeah.
actually get $100 bill and just put it on my desk. And then every time I'm about to take a trade, I'm just going to take a look at that $100 bill and
When
see if I want.
when you're in a position and you just keep giving the guy $100, and you keep
Yeah,
it's going against you, just keep giving the guy $100, you realize, wait a minute, why am I doing this? Stop that, give me my money. You stop the
yeah, yeah,
trade.
yeah.
So
That's a good
it's
point.
that's what they do in gambling. They give you the chips because it looks like chips. You're disconnected from actual dollars, right? So you
Right.
got to still keep that connection. You got to keep that healthy connection with trading. That realize, hey, this was moving up and down here is money that I can put into my bank account if I do this properly for the entire month, right?
I
So
think
very,
the other
very important.
disconnection too is people aren't really aware of the amount of money. Right. So
Yeah.
so people see it moving up and then they see it hit this large. I had someone ask me the other day, I think it was on like Microsoft or something like that. And they were like, hey, I know you said we're probably going to stall off of those sellers on Microsoft at $237. But it's only like 300 lot there. It's like 300,000. It's only like 30,000 shares or something like that. That's not really that much, is it? And then I'm like, well, I don't know. It's at $237. So let's multiply 237 times 30,000. And then you realize that's a $7,100,000 sell
Right.
order,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's huge, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't, hopefully in my lifetime, I will manage to earn that much money,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
like my entire lifetime, maybe, just maybe, if I make some poor decisions that work out in a good way, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
I'll make $7 million in my lifetime. That just sounds awesome. That's a
Yeah.
that's a
It's
that's a Sunday special, right on there. That's a
it's
January
big.
Wednesday the 20th. That is just a normal old day on the
Yeah.
stock market for someone to be selling the amount of money I hope to make in a lifetime. So
Yeah. Yeah.
perspective wise, we're trading with
Right.
very, very small amounts of money comparative to the rest of the market, right? So you just got to be aware, man. You got to detach from
Yeah.
money a little bit because there's so much of it out there,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
the amount that you have doesn't impact what's going on out there. People think the market's hunting them and coming after them. You don't have enough money, right? They
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they are moving the market into areas where they expect lots of people to be, and they're
Mm-hmm.
hoping. Now, fortunately, everybody reads the same books and puts their stops in the same places,
Of
so it
course.
makes
Of
it makes it
course.
really easy for the algos to come down and find you. You also put your orders out on, you can see on Bookmap and other L2 books, you can actually see where everyone's orders are congregating. So that also makes it easy for the market makers and everybody else. But they're not coming after you and your small money. They're coming after everybody and everybody's
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. And sometimes they aren't able to get to you, right? So
Many
you can
times, yeah.
really, right, you can really go too crazy on it and say, hey, the market's out to get me. I agree with you, Thor. That's not the case. That's not going to happen
Yeah.
here. And it's funny,
Money.
if you build your edge. And here's how I realized that that the market's not out to get you. I had this thing where and this is a funny story. I had an order placed, and it was in a simulation, and I thought the order was actually in a live trade, right?
Mm.
So I'm in this trade, and man, it is going against me 100%. I'm like, wow, this thing, they came to get me. They came to get me,
Yeah.
and I didn't
Stop you
realize it
out to
was
the penny.
these guys
How dare
came
they?
came to get me. I'm like, and I was so upset because I actually risked a lot. It was pretty heavy. It was like 1,500. So I closed out the trade. I'm like, man, these guys got me. They saw my order, and I was on the phone. I'm driving, pick up my daughter. I come back. It was a Friday because I pick up my daughter on Fridays from school. I come back and I'm like,
Best no trade of your life.
this is a sim trade. There was this weight lifted off my shoulder.
Oh
That
man.
was unbelievable. So I'm thinking like this is a simulation trade, and I thought they were coming out to get me, but they're not. It's a sim order. So
Yeah, you
your
get two
mind,
two double the relief. One,
yeah,
it was a sim trade. Number two, oh
yes,
yeah, so maybe they're not out to get me.
they're not out to get me, right? Because I was not really in the market, so it kind of puts things into perspective, right? Money's a big deal, guys. It really is, and I think you have to have a really good, healthy relationship with money. And I really think it starts with your personal level. If you're
Hmm.
having a good relationship with, I'm not saying you have to be rich to be able to day trade. I'm not saying you have to be extremely wealthy, but if you have good discipline, a good budget in your personal life, have things in order there. That's going to only benefit you when it comes to trading. And I always tell traders the worst thing you could do, the worst place you can start trading from is like you mentioned earlier, and we got to say it again because it's so important, is when you are looking to make money, when you need money, when you're in a tough situation financially in your personal life. Because when we're in a tough situation, we want to fight. What's the three
Yep.
things? It's fight, flight, and I forget the other one, or hide. I forget. It's three things, right?
Yeah,
Fight.
hide, flight, or something like fight or
I
fly. Hide, fight, or fly.
Yeah.
So you either
So
run away, you either turn
yeah.
and fight, or you just duck down and hide.
So if you decide to trade, you decided to fight here, right? And you're aggressive. You're going to be aggressive to try to make money, and it's usually not a good situation. If you try to force the market into what you wanted to do, guess what? The market's going to humble you very, very quickly. You're not going to move the market into what you want to do. So it's so important to have that healthy
Never.
relationship, and not start from a place where you are in trouble in your personal finances. Now, what I do recommend is that, we have tradingterminal.com, guys. There's so many free material on there. You can start learning right away. People forget that when you decide to trade, you don't have to fund an account with your money and have a $25,000 account, $30,000 account.
Not
You just
anymore.
Not anymore. Well, you could do it less, but you also can start learning. I mean, you got to learn.
Yeah.
This is a 6 months, 3 months process of learning. You can do that without having the money to trade. And so what if it
Easy.
takes you 6 months to a year to get the capital to trade, right? And build healthy habits in your personal life. You're gonna be ahead of the game if you've been learning for a year while you build up that account. Can you imagine that? How well off
Yeah.
you're gonna be? And we got tradingterminal.com, we got Bearable Traders, we got our YouTube channel. There's so much good quality free material out there, guys. You can start learning right away. And by the way, I don't want to. I think it's coming out in a week or two. We got the trading simulator, the live trading simulator coming out for Trading Terminal. So that's going to be a
Yeah.
game changer. So now you got to,
The effort put into that
yeah,
platform, I mean, we brag out because it's our guys Artie and Andrew, but especially Artie has been putting in so much work,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that terminal is, I think it's going to be for the retail trader especially, but I mean the information that's on there is good. I mean it's almost overwhelming. It's a
yeah,
lot on
yeah,
there,
yeah,
but for the new trader that's looking to get started, Trading Terminal will be your go-to resource probably in
yeah.
the beginning, because it's just the deal's too sweet, free.
Right, right,
You can get in there. It's powerful. It gives you that once the new live stuff is up and running, you're going to be able to trade off the market live, using some basic indicators and entry methods off of it. If you're testing out how to work strategies and stuff like that, it's really all you're going to need. So it'd be great. You can read books, get educated, learn how to everything, work on your business concepts and ideas, and build confidence in the market before you have to stick a single penny other than maybe buying a couple of books and some
right,
online resources, right?
right.
So, and Trading Terminal is starting to load that up with tape reading courses, advanced pattern courses. I mean, they're starting to load specific modules now into that, created just
Yeah,
for that,
yeah.
with like exam criteria and all kinds of, I mean, it's some fancy
So
stuff coming in.
it's great for any new trader. Tons of free stuff on there. And if you're an advanced trader, then we also got some pretty advanced stuff there at a cost, right? At the academy, there's some costs involved there. But if you're at that level where you want to move to the next level, there's going to be some costs involved with that. So definitely worth it.
Like any
And then
business, man, you
yeah, like
gotta
any
you
business.
gotta
Yeah.
get what you need to get.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So yeah, guys, definitely check that out. And again, if you're new, start right away. Start learning the process right away. If you've been trading for a while, continue to build these healthy habits when it comes to money and trading. Right, so critical to do that because if you don't, money is such a big stress for trading. You want to have that in check. I think it's so important.
Absolutely.
Um, Guys, I think we're all set. We have gonna be going for about 30 minutes now. I mean, there's some other stuff that we're not going to touch on today because this episode again it's just jam packed with things, and we can go to so many places from here. But I want to remind you of a couple of things. Remember, email address podcast@bearable.com. You can reach us there with questions, comments, ideas for shows in the future. We also got some. We're not going to release the names yet, but we got some guests that we have lined up for our show coming up. Also, traders just like me and Thor. That have some incredible stories that we want to share with you. So we look forward to having them on in the near future. So stay tuned. And yeah, we'll love to see you guys on the next episode. Hit that thumbs up, hit that star or whatever platform you're. So many of them, I can't name all of them. But whatever
Right.
platform you're on, hit like
Hit
button.
something.
Yeah,
Just find something and hit it.
It's something that's positive on that like button. Guys, see you next time. Have a great one.